Hello, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. I hope that your week is off to a wonderful start. Before I get started with our story today, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the birthday wishes. My birthday was on Easter this past Sunday, and I loved seeing all of the different videos and pictures that you guys had sent me, or just some notes on Facebook. It was so sweet. Thank you so much. That made me feel really special, and it almost made me cry, believe it or not. So thank you so much. I had a really great birthday, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for that before I got started today. Second of all, I know that you're on spring break this week, but I thought I would still make a couple of videos so that you can listen to them if you get bored or run out of things to do. So today I'm going to be finishing chapter 6 of Gooney Greene. And before I get started on that, I just realized that we are almost done with Gooney Greene, which is so crazy. So there's 7 chapters in Gooney Greene. Today, like I said, I'm going to be finishing chapter 6, and then after that there's only one more chapter, which makes me so sad because I think reading Gooney Greene is so fun. But we are going to enjoy it, and yeah, let's get started. So if you remember in the last video, I started chapter 6, and Gooney Bird was just about to start telling another story that is called Beloved Catman is Consumed by a Cow. So that's where we're going to pick up today, and then like I said, after this we only have one more chapter left. So here we go. Beloved Catman is consumed by a cow. Once upon a time, not long ago, after they had left China, Gooney Bird and Catman found themselves flying through the air on a carpet. The carpet landed in a meadow near a large brown and white cow who was contentedly eating wildflowers. The flowers were purple loosestrife. The carpet unrolled and Gooney Bird stood up and looked around. She could see in the distance her father's car quickly disappearing down the road. So if you remember, in a couple of chapters, well, it was kind of a long time ago now, but a couple of chapters ago, we read about how Gooney Bird, when they were moving, she was wrapped up in a carpet with Catman, her cat, and the carpet flew out of the car. So that's what this story is talking about too. Beside her, Catman also stood up. He had become very furry and fat, the way cats do when they are frightened. My cat becomes very enlarged when my brother brings his dog to visit, Mrs. Pigeon said. Then she put her hand to her mouth. Oh, I'm sorry, Gooney Bird. I interrupted. That's all right, Gooney Bird replied. Maybe this is a good time for everyone to tell cat getting big suddenly stories. Many children did. Barry Tuckerman's grandmother's cat became huge, and his tail stood straight out in the air when a groundhog appeared in their yard. Chelsea's cat became enormously fluffy and hissed and spat when the veterinarian gave her a shot. Tricia told her how her cat got very fat, and then one day had 7 kittens inside the laundry basket. Good. So you all understand about cats. Now I'll continue, Gooney Bird announced. The cow, who had some purple blossoms dangling from her mouth, looked very surprised when a person and a cat and a carpet all landed in her meadow. She thought about what to do and decided that moving to a different corner of the meadow would be the best choice. Carefully, moving slowly in a cow-like fashion, she strolled away toward a corner where yellow cosmos and oxeye daisies were in bloom. Gooney Bird's attention was on the car, which had now disappeared around a bend in the road. She was a little worried about the disappearance of her car. But Catman didn't care about the car. Catman had never liked that car at all. In fact, Catman had hated that car, and he was glad that it had disappeared. But he was very interested in the cow. Catman had never seen a cow before. Now he watched with fascination as the cow moved slowly toward the other corner of the meadow. He liked the way the cow walked, heavily and with determination. He liked the way the cow smelled of thick, sun-warmed cowhide and meadow flowers. And as he scampered along behind the cow, and the cow noticed and mooed, Catman liked the way the cow sounded. It was comforting. the low, throaty sound of a moo, and in the background was the buzzing of flies. Catman began to purr. In the distance, he could hear Gooney Bird calling, "Catman, Catman," but he didn't care. He found himself falling in love with the cow. "I like romance," Beanie said. "Me too," Kiko said with a tiny sigh. Gooney Bird waited a moment, but no one else said anything. She continued her story. In the evening, the farmer, Mr. Henry Shinhofen, came to the meadow and called the cow. It was time to take her into the barn to be milked. The cow liked the farmer, who was soft-spoken and kind, and she liked the barn, which was airy and dark and smelled of hay. And she liked being milked, which felt a little like sneezing, something that needs to be done now and then. So she carefully followed the farmer when he called her. Catman cheerfully followed the cow. Mrs. Clara Shinhofen, the farmer's wife, was feeding the chickens when her husband walked past, leading the cow. "My word," she said. "Look, there's a cat with no tail following the cow." "So there is," said her husband. "Perhaps he is hungry. We should feed him." They tried to take Catman into the house to be fed, but he refused to leave the cow. So they brought him a bowl of tuna fish and gave it to him in the barn. When Mr. Shinhofen milked the cow, he squirted some into a dish for Catman. That night, Catman, who was by now completely and hopelessly in love, curled up beside the cow and slept. He has slept there ever since. During the day, he goes to the meadow with the cow, and while the cow eats wildflowers, Catman chases field mice and butterflies, listens to the buzzing of flies, and smells the warm and pleasant odor of cowhide. Gooney Bird paused. "Questions?" she asked. Kiko raised his hand. "I was waiting for the bad part," she said. "I was going to cover my ears." "What bad part?" Gooney Bird asked. So here's a picture in our book, and it is of the cow. And then you can see Catman is following behind the cow. They're on the farm eating flowers. Okay. "What bad parts?" Gooney Bird asked. "You know," Kiko whispered, "where the cow ate Catman." Gooney Bird looked surprised. "The cow didn't eat Catman. The cow hardly notices that Catman is there. The cow eats wildflowers." "But you said," Kiko began. "Yes, you said," Malcolm called. Mrs. Pigeon stood up. "Remember the title of the story, children," she said. They all cried, "How a Cow Ate Catman," Barry Tuckerman called out. "How Catman got eaten up by a cow?" Tricia said. Mrs. Pigeon shook her head. She picked up her notebook. "I wrote it down," she told them. "Beloved Catman is consumed by a cow." "Let me finish," Gooney Bird suggested. She went on with the end of the story. That night, the farmer and his wife turned on the TV and saw the interview with the little girl who rode a flying carpet. "If anybody finds my cat," the little girl, it was Gooney Bird, said, "please call the TV station." So Mr. Henry Shinhofen, the farmer, called. "I have that cat here in my barn," he said. "Orange and white cat, no tail. But I gotta tell you," he said, "I don't think you'll be able to take it away. It won't leave my cow." "Won't leave your cow?" the TV lady said. She sounded puzzled. "Nope," said the farmer. "Wouldn't even leave for tuna fish. We had to make the tuna fish and put it right beside the cow." "Why?" "Happens sometimes," the farmer explained. "I'd guess you'd call it something like love. That cat is downright consumed by the cow." "And is the cow consumed by the cat?" the TV lady asked. "Nope. The cow doesn't care one way or another, but she doesn't step on the cat. She's a careful cow." The TV people called Gooney Bird and her parents. They told them where Catman was and that Catman was consumed by a cow. So the Greene family drove their car back to the meadow and visited Catman. Catman was nice to them, but they could tell that he was not consumed by the Greene family. He was only consumed by the cow. So they kissed him goodbye. Then they hugged and kissed the farmer and his wife, and they all sang Farmer in the Dell and danced in a circle on their tiptoes. They all lived happily ever after. The end. I love happy endings, Kiko said with a sigh. Me too, Mrs. Pigeon said. Thank you, Gooney Bird. Let's get out our arithmetic books now, class. Everyone in the class groaned. I know, Mrs. Pigeon said, laughing. It's much more fun to listen to Gooney Bird's stories. But we can look forward to tomorrow. She'll have another one tomorrow. Gooney Bird had gone back to her desk and taken out her arithmetic book. She looked up in surprise. No, actually, I won't, she said. That was my last story. The second graders, almost every one of them, called, "No!" in very loud, sad voices. It sounded like a huge chorus singing a song called "No!" Mrs. Pigeon looked horrified. But Gooney Bird, she said, we still have a lot of unanswered questions. Like what? Asked Gooney Bird. Well, let me think, Mrs. Pigeon frowned. The false teeth, Nicholas called. Yes, Mrs. Pigeon said. Why did your father have to pack 43 sets of false teeth? That's a story you haven't told yet. Gooney Bird looked surprised. That's not a story, she said. That simply requires a dictionary. You have one right there on your desk, Mrs. Pigeon. Mrs. Pigeon reached for her dictionary. Look up this word, Gooney Bird said. She pronounced it very carefully. Prothodontist. My goodness, Mrs. Pigeon read the definition. It's a special kind of dentist. He makes false teeth. Exactly, Gooney Bird said. That's what my father is. No story there. But we want more stories, Gooney Bird, Barry Tuckerman said in a loud voice. As usual, he was standing up with one knee on his desk chair. Gooney Bird sighed impatiently. I need to do my arithmetic, she said. I'm not very good at subtraction yet, but all right, sit down. Sit down, Barry. Close the dictionary, Mrs. Pigeon. I will tell you how to get stories. Ooh, and that is the end of chapter 6. So I don't know about you, but I am really excited to see what happens in chapter 7. Like I said, that's our last chapter, so I wonder if Gooney Bird is going to have a really cool, funny story at the end. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, like I said, I hope that your week is off to a good start, and I hope that you have a good day today, and for this whole part of your spring break. I hope that you guys can do some fun activities from home. And I don't know if you remember, but last week I told you to be looking out for something that is coming in your mailbox, and you should look out for it probably at the end of this week. Make sure that you check your mail each day because you should have something coming for you. So that being said, I hope that you have a great day and a great rest of your week, and I'm sure that I'll be back here later this week to do another story time for you guys. All right, see ya.